Welcome to the Give It a Nudge podcast. Thanks for joining us. Each week, you're going to hear stories from founders, VCs, and private equity leaders from across the industry. We hope that these stories are going to give you insights to help you on your journey, and we'd love you to be part of our community. So please hit that subscribe button, and let's get on with the show. Welcome to Give It a Nudge. Today we have Michael from Strong Pilates coming in. I think you're going to love this story. It's quite different to a lot of the ones. We haven't done a fitness one for ages, so super excited about this. So Michael, welcome to the show. Why don't you start by, before we go into sort of your history and all that sort of stuff, give us a quick overview of what Strong Pilates is.
Yeah, great. Thanks for having me, by the way.
Pleasure.
Mate, so Strong Pilates is we're quite a unique Pilates concept. We franchised back in 2019, just pre-pandemic, which was fantastic timing. But mate, we're a Pilates rowing hybrid or a Pilates cardio hybrid. We use a machine called a Rowformer. So it's a painted piece of machine. The whole idea is the biggest, I guess, criticism of Pilates is you don't burn a lot of calories in the majority of your workouts.
I've never done Pilates. I know it's machines or non-machines. That's about my level of understanding. So maybe give us a little history of what Pilates is as well, because there'll be a lot of people who probably
So reform Pilates generally spring-loaded tension. So just like you would be lifting weights, you're pushing a carriage that's connected to springs. So that's how you're getting the workout.
So it's the sliding back and forth.
That's right.
Yeah.
And generally it's quite slow, so time under tension. Fantastic for things like, mobility, stability. Great for, your sore knees, sore lower back, that sort of thing. So it kind of started as more of a rehab type modality. And we've kind of taken that and turned it into this kind of high intensity, but yet still low impact concept. Okay. So, basically someone will go from, say, the rower, let's say you're doing 3 minutes of rowing. Onto the Pilates machine, so your heart rate's elevated, then you'll do like a resistance component on the Pilates machine, back to the rower, back to the Pilates machine. So you're getting all these benefits of Pilates, but with a really high calorie burn.
Cool. And how did you come up with that?
I actually saw it. I saw the machine itself in the States, in the US.
So it's that singular machine. It's got the row and the that's the whole thing. Right.
It's massive. It's 4.1 meters in length.
Huge.
We put 20 of these in our studios, and I saw it in the US. I jumped on a flight, went over there because I was so intrigued by it. Love the workout, toughest workout I've ever done.
Really?
But over there, the studio only had 11 beds. The commercial viability of the business probably wasn't there
because of the lack of numbers.
Lack of numbers, the business model, the brand, and it really need brand and things like everything that entices customers, like music, the one percenters. So we'll do like a cold eucalyptus soaked towel after your workout and things like that are really kind of special add-ons. None of that was really there. So we sort of created this brand and this business model around this machine. Put all into a franchise concept and gave it a go in Melbourne, and it just so happened we got this crazy cult following.
How good's that?
And mate, it's so nice to see, and it's particularly something that's so new and different. Like, it was obviously a risk, but we're now at 23 operational studios.
Okay,
we have 130 confirmed territories.
Cool.
We're launching actually this weekend. We launch in London. I've sold a master to Canada. We've got 11 launching in Singapore, and we're just rolling out globally now. So it's pretty exciting times.
11 in Singapore.
We've got
extraordinary.
Yeah.
Not a very big place.
No. Well, actually, you look at some other concepts, like say like an F45 or a BFT. They're actually up around sort of the 40 to 50 mark.
Really?
There's this huge appetite in Singapore for boutique fitness.
Is it because it's so hot outside? We have an office in Singapore too. When I go to Singapore, you can run in Singapore, but geez, it's hot, right? So do you think that's why people want to go? Maybe, I don't know, maybe that's why people want to go inside.
I think so. Yeah, high density, and they want a nice air condition.
Yeah.
And a lot of the kind of the nicer, more how would I say it? The fancier kind of products that are in there are getting better traction. People seem to like the high-end version.
Singapore is fancy.
Yeah. I've actually never been. I'm going over for a launch in June for the first time.
So, it's I'm a fan of Singapore. I don't know if I could live there, but I'm a fan. It's so super clean. I can see why high-end things go. It feels like a high-end place.
Yep.
Anyway, before we go sort of too much into where you're at, let's talk about your history, because I think everyone always wants to know, okay, where have you come from? You know, you don't just suddenly sit there and go, right, I'm off to the US, I'm going to start a fitness business. Talk to me a little bit about, you've been an entrepreneur before, but before we get onto that, just a touch on why you became an entrepreneur in the first place. What do you think was that made you want to go and do something like that?
I studied for 7 years. I did Bachelor of Marketing, Master's Commerce.
Yep.
I was always a PT through that period as well. It was a little bit of extra income, used to promote nightclubs on the side, all that sort of stuff. All that
kind of stuff, yeah.
Yep. And I just sort of, I don't know, I tried working in marketing jobs and I just hated the 9 to 5. I couldn't be overly creative at times, and I didn't really enjoy that structure. And I think that's where I kind of got into entrepreneurship. I was a marketing manager in the oil and gas industry.
Oh, wow.
And so as mundane as
do you even market oil and gas? Do you just have to buy it? Like
it's a lot of B2B, almost PR kind of stuff. But yeah, and then I eventually actually stumbled on F45.
Yep.
My business partner at the time showed me F45, and this is back when there was probably sub 5 studios.
Okay, long time.
Yeah. So we were actually number 10. That was my first business. We opened 2 in Melbourne, but yeah, number 10 in the world. Ended up winning Best Studio globally 3 years running, and I've scaled that from 1 to 6 studios, and within 4 years, we actually sold all of them and 10x'd our investment.
How is that?
And then basically have popped it all into Strong Pilates. So we're self-funded to date, which has its challenges.
It certainly does.
Yeah.
Not many people come on this show that are self-funding. It's always kind of exciting.
Yeah. It's scary, and there's times where we're like, okay, do we just sell 10%? Do we, try and just get that extra capital in to launch international markets and stuff like that? But franchising is a really interesting business because, we sell territories. Each territory is $50,000, and we can use that money to then reinvest back into the franchise and the brand. And for us, it's all building brand at the moment.
So I guess having been a franchisee, you know what they want. I'm intrigued. You said you won Best Studio. Was it 3 years in a row?
Yep.
Why? There's got to be a reason. Like 3 years in a row is not, we just happened to luck in this year. Like that's a very consistent, what do you think was the difference?
That was actually based purely off revenue.
So really?
We're the highest
but
growth.
You only get the revenue if you're doing something. Right?
Exactly. And there's no secret sauce. I think it's a number of things, particularly in the fitness industry. I'd say community, building community is number one in terms of like a performance indicator, but it's this intangible thing that no one knows how to do. Like, how the hell do you build a community, right? So it was number one. So we had an amazing community. We had 450 to 500 members in our biggest studio.
Yep.
We'd run these parties, end of challenge parties, and keep reinvesting back into the community. And you just know everyone. You'd know their dog's name. You'd know what they did on the weekends, and that was a big part of it. And then having a marketing background, I think, was very helpful.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Do you think I don't know, what's your actual role? You've got a business partner, right?
Yep.
So how does your role sit? Having been a franchisee, knowing what they want, having a marketing background, sounds like you put a lot of energy into what you did with your studios previously. Now, as the franchisor, how do you help your franchisees?
Yeah, we learnt a lot from F45, and and sometimes what not to do. Like when we went in there, it was brand new. Like no one really knew what they were doing. We kind of launched a brand in Melbourne effectively. We got on a few AFL players. We tried to do all this stuff to build the brand, but I guess just learnt the do's and don'ts. And now I would say that we're almost too supportive in a way. Like we've got all our systems set up. Our onboarding is incredible. So we get all the studio owners in for a number of days and onboard them. And then even to become a Strong Pilates trainer, they need to go through Strong Academy. So we take them through a 3-week course, and half of these instructors fail as well because we're really big on quality.
What happens then?
So, well, then we just need to get more instructors and we need to train more. And
can they retake it? Can they go away?
100%. But all these things, I think it's more about quality control, and just learning exactly what we need to do to build a sustainable business, and also when we grow, how do we maintain that quality? But yeah, it's I think where we're investing most in, honestly, is brand and marketing, and yeah, it's just nuts.
I think that there's so many fitness brands, right, at the moment, and I think that you're right. That cult following that's key, right? If you can get that, and then you can take that, and you can obviously expand on it, and you've taken it global, which is not an easy thing to do either. You'll get loyal members. I mean, I've done a few of those cult. I won't mention any of your competitors. Not that any of them were Pilates based, but you get really hooked into them, and you get the shirt, and you get the bottle, and you get everything. And I'm assuming you'll do all that as well. Are you doing clothing lines and merchandise? And do you do? Some of them do drinks at the end, like protein shakes. Are you getting into all of that? Is that part of it or not yet?
Yeah, definitely. It's again, it's all part of being like a franchisor. You're running multiple business units. So yes, we're running gyms, but we're also a clothing line. We're also education. We're selling education in the way of training and academy, and there's all different parts to it. So yeah, and that's been challenging, to be honest. Like you've got to wear a number of different hats. And you mentioned my business partner before. He's a bit older than me.
Let's mention his name. Let's bring him into the conversation.
Mark Armstrong. He's actually an ex-detective.
Really?
Very different from me. So he's more operations focused. He's a very trustworthy guy. He looks after the sales component of the business, and I'm the marketing. So I jump on and do stuff like this. But we're very, very different, chalk and cheese. And I think that's actually why it's worked so far.
An ex-detective?
Yeah.
How do you find an ex-detective?
It's a long.
Or did he find you?
It's a long story. He believe it or not, he's my same business partner as F45, and he actually found F45 and approached me and said, I think you'd be great. You've got the marketing background and the PT background, and so he's been good. He's a bit of a soundboard for me at times because. Yeah, I'm probably a little bit less experienced than him and a little bit crazier in the way I operate. So he's been almost a bit of a mentor for me, which is good.
Tell me, what do you think has been the hardest thing when you transition from a franchisee to a franchisor, right? Because suddenly you're going from, I'm going to use a terrible analogy here, but you're kind of like a little chicken in an egg, like with your mouth open as a franchisee, and the franchisor is suddenly the responsibility, right? It's almost like being a parent to some degree. Was that hard? Because that's a big transition.
Yeah, it was really, really scary up until a point in which the studios were performing financially. And we're hitting. Well, honestly, we're rolling out this concept.
It's all your money too. Don't forget that.
It's all
that's
my
the
money.
real terrifying part.
But then there's other people investing in our brand as well, and that for me was the scariest part. That now we are accountable for these people, and we need to make sure this works for these people because. They're putting $300,000-400,000 into a studio, and they need to get a return. So that's probably the scariest thing, and being the biggest challenge is just navigating all of that mentally, I would say. But then also putting processes in place where the team can look after a lot of this stuff as well, because we coming from being a franchisee, we know how tough it is and how hands-on it is running a gym, and we legitimately care so much, but we can't be all over everything.
No, so they've got to have some responsibility themselves, right?
Yeah, but setting up a team at our HQ to make sure that each component is looked after, your performance, your marketing, your education, training, and every sort of facet of the business, we just have to recruit really well. But it's great, you've got really great brands in Australia that have fitness brands that have really built out this market, and they've trained great staff, and we've sort of come in at a great time. And I always talk about F45 really positively because they really did grow the market.
It's still huge.
Still huge. Having some issues, obviously, in Australia, and every business has a life cycle, right?
Absolutely.
But they're rolling out substantially in the US still.
I know. Sounds like you timed that quite well.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what's been the funnest thing in all of this? Building a business. We've had 90 of these shows or something like that. There's a lot of hard parts to it, and I like to focus a little bit more on the hard things because everyone always focuses on the fun things. But tell me, what has been fitness brands are very, we have a lot of tech founders. We have some unusual other ones as well. But what's been the funnest thing?
Probably watching like a concept turn into a reality. Like being able to have, and it's also a lot of pressure, but being able to have 100% of your own ideas and thoughts go into creating at the start a logo and some copy, and then building into a website and processes into this whole workout. And that's been just watching it grow and develop, and knowing that that's what we managed to create. That's been the funnest process.
Yeah.
I mean, there's awesome stuff we do. Like
that's the marketer in you again.
Yeah. There's these real, like we'll go to, we launched in Auckland, and we put 15 of these Rowformer beds on Viaduct Harbour in Auckland, and we had this huge event outside and had all these sort of this talent and all these different influencers and athletes training, and like all these launch events are really fun, but I just enjoy this whole process. Yeah.
Let's talk about the name. I think names for businesses are the worst thing in the world to do. They're the hardest thing. They're all taken. It's hard to get the domain name.
Yeah.
Strong Pilates has got to be, and were there any ridiculous ones that you came up with that you want to share with us right now, or do you want to not go down that route?
It's always been strong, and I'll tell you, there's a little story behind this actually. Remember when domain names became really expensive? And people were snapping up one-word domain names.
It was just, everyone was buying everything, right?
Yeah.
And just sitting on them. Yeah, I do remember that.
So I bought the Instagram handle @Strong about 5 years ago as an investment. I paid $3,500 US for it.
Yep.
It's be worth an absolute fortune now. And I was just holding that.
Yep.
And we found this amazing concept. It just resonated with the brand, and all we had to really do was use that Instagram handle, be able to trademark @Strong Pilates. But really, we're almost a stronger version of Pilates, so it just made perfect sense.
Yeah, okay.
And that's how it came about. So there's actually never been another name or anything in the work.
I like hearing all the stupid ones people come up with. Well, that's amazing that you did that. That's quite a bit of foresight.
Yeah.
Did you buy any others?
I had my name's Michael Ramsey. I had Ram, but that got taken by a hacker. But like I did get some random ones, but Strong was the most high value item that I had.
Cool. All right, so let's get back to the business. How many studios right now?
So 23 operational.
23. And you've got how many opening in this year?
So, geez, by June we'll double our footprint.
By June.
Yep.
We're in where are we? February. February, March.
Yeah. So it's a massive month. We've got an ambition to hit 100 by the end of the year. As I said, London launches this weekend.
That could be huge.
Yeah.
They need something good happening over there.
Yeah.
They're sad people at the moment. I know I'm from there, I can say that. We have a London office. It's good that you're doing something good. They need some positivity.
It's good. It's very different to what's there, and I honestly think that might be our best market.
Huge high density. If it's high end, Londoners will like it. Is there 45 there? I don't even know.
Yeah, they are. They're there.
But it's it's a completely different concept.
That's right.
I think you'll do really well there. So where's it opening? Where's the London one?
Islington is our first. We've got a couple confirmed now, rolling after that. And then, surprisingly, I think we've sold 3 in Dublin as well. So,
really?
Yeah, there's
They're going to have a bar in them? It's Dublin.
I've heard there's a pretty decent fitness market there. So,
well, there's a massive startup scene there. There's obviously some very generous tax concessions for businesses to set up there. So there's a lot of people in Dublin, I think, for the reasons other than the Guinness. So, and maybe the Guinness is the reason as well. Keep the weight off.
Well, maybe you either drink or you train,
or you do both.
Or you do both. Yeah.
And so, how many countries? So you said you've got Canada.
We've just sold a master franchise to Canada.
Okay, so is that someone that runs the franchise business from your side? Is that right?
That's right. So we effectively onboard a business partner. They purchase the territory from us.
Yep.
And it again, like self-funded, it enables us to scale as opposed to us opening a London office or a Canada office. Yep. So we've sold masters to Canada. We've sold master to UK. Singapore is a developer agreement. So that's 11 going in over the next.
That's how you did 11 so quickly, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And that's aligning with quite a big brand over there. They've already got 9 studios of their own.
Cool.
So that's a really exciting one. And then The US is on the horizon now. So, and that's one that we're not selling a master to. We want the US. We want to be in the US.
You know, it's a big place, right?
Yeah,
It's two separate countries.
We're starting with LA. California, Texas, New York, and Florida as our sort of 4 key markets. We're probably not going to touch anything outside of those 4, but we'll see how we go. But more than likely, we'll be there this year as well. So.
You know that that Texan South by Southwest is coming to Sydney. Did you know this?
No.
So there's this show called South by Southwest. Kind of like a startup boundary kind of show, not particularly tech, any kind of space, but then they tie it in with film and music and all these other things, and they make this sort of a week-long festival. It's huge, as it's Texan, of course it's huge. It's coming to Sydney, I think in September, October. You should definitely reach out to them if you're going to Texas, because they're coming here, so you might as well, right? That's
And do you say it's a tech conference?
It's not a tech conference. It's an entrepreneurial conference mixed with film, music, creativity, writing, and it'll be in like numerous venues all over Sydney. But it's called South by Southwest. It's born out of Texas, and it's huge. And it's first time ever coming to Australia. You should definitely talk to them.
Absolutely.
That'd be an awesome opportunity.
Yeah.
I think the Texans they'll want more than everyone else because it's Texas, right?
Yeah, it's. I think it's going to do really well.
You go to New York?
New York's it's tough because the rents are so high. So we just need to make a business model work. And yes, you charge more, but it's still scary because these things are, as I said, they're 4.1 meters in length.
You can't move them in and out, right? They're in there. You can't share a studio with someone. It's just too hard. Yeah.
So it's going to be an interesting one. We might need to revise our business model slightly and just work it all out. But
okay.
Look, we'll get there.
Well, let's talk about the franchisees. So you're obviously looking for people who want to start these businesses. So in Australia, you're just Sydney, Melbourne, or have you got them?
No, we're everywhere. We'll be in every state in the next sort of month.
And you're still looking for more, right?
Yep.
Okay, so anyone who's out there is watching, and there's a lot of fitness people watch our show. I'm not sure why, but there is. If someone's interested in getting one of these, give me in your words, if someone came and said to you, right, I'm really thinking about doing this, tell me why I should, what would you say to them?
I'd say primarily, there's a few different types of people that approach us. You get sort of the mum and dad operator that want a bit of financial freedom and can run a business on the side and pay themselves a wage, and they're not bound to that sort of 9 to 5. Yep. So that would be, for me, and that's what I particularly loved about getting into a franchise. I had flexibility, I had financial freedom. So that would be number one. I think, why would you do Strong Pilates? Well, we effectively don't have any competition. We kind of sit somewhere between a Pilates gym and a strength and conditioning gym, and we kind of, we're quite unique. So we're not really seeing any competition around our studios. Are you
getting people with gyms adding your studio to their outfit, so to speak?
No, we're getting more standalone. Like sometimes we get them in similar vicinities, but more so standalone.
Yep.
Because we do offer everything. So you've got days that are just Pilates, you've got days that are strength with progressive overloads, people are building muscle.
Yep.
You've got days that are massive calorie burn sessions where people's heart rates are through the roof and they're burning a ton of calories. So, and our model is actually a membership model, where traditionally Pilates is packs, where people buy 5 packs, 10 packs. But this is $70 a week, and you should be able to get everything that you need out of this work.
And you can come as many times as you want?
Yep.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah. So gyms are actually seeing us as competition, which is quite interesting.
Awesome. So you got your mum and dads, and then who's the other type?
The investor. So people will come into our business and snap up 3, 4, 5 studios at once. Yep. And that's more, it takes a little bit more management. You need to look at who's your studio managers and things like that. But from a purely return on investment perspective, that's why I would be getting into it.
Okay.
Just because it's unique, it's going well. We're selling, we're pre-selling, sometimes 300 members before we even open. So we're doing really well in that regard. So yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Last question.
Yep.
As someone who managed to win numerous awards when you're running your own franchises, what's the best advice you give to anyone running? It doesn't have to be a Strong Pilates one, but any kind. There's a lot of different franchises out there. but it could be a food franchise, any franchise. I imagine there's some similarities. What would be your biggest takeaway?
For success?
Well, yeah, hopefully.
Yeah.
Yes, definitely. Let's go with success.
It's just one of those things that I found the more I put into it, the more I got out of it.
Sounds familiar.
Yeah, I know it's a generic answer.
There's nothing wrong. It's a good answer.
Yeah, it's you know, I remember there was a point when I just said, "Screw it, I'm gonna have to do the 12-hour days to get this off the ground," and that to me, like putting the actual work in, was just a beautiful lesson and paid off. And then, as I said before, the community piece, like any sort of location-based. Whatever the business is, if it's retail, if it's client facing, the community piece and getting in the community is huge. You know, your hairdressers, your baristas, your local business owners, they're your heroes. It's not the athletes and the influencers and the people with all the followers. It's these real people in the communities. And when they're spruiking your business, it just quantifies. Like, it is incredible. Imagine how many people are hairdressers speaking to.
Oh my God.
Every single day.
They talk like I do constantly, right?
Yeah.
And you know, I think it's interesting. I don't know if you've seen this, but there was a huge report that came out last week before, and it studies human nature and where trends are going. And it basically said social media is on the down in its current form, and people want to be part of communities. It's all about communities. So people are now building social media that's driving communities, which is essentially what you're doing here. So communities seem to be, I think that COVID maybe created a little bit of that, and it's where it's where the human race, they say, is going. Big statement, but that sounds like it's good news for you.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. It's definitely rebounded from the online training during COVID.
I hated online training.
Oh, I couldn't stand it either. But
I like going. You know how we had all the ones in the park?
Yeah.
I did that where people were taking their machines to parks and things. They couldn't take your machines out there, but that was good. Well, hopefully we'll never go back to those days.
Hopefully not. No.
Well, look, thank you so much for coming on.
Pleasure.
It's really interesting to hear, and I've learned more about Pilates than I thought I ever would. Maybe I might have to try it. Where's the nearest one to here? So we're in the cities. We've got one in the city?
We've got Alexandria, St. Leonard's and Gladesville all launching in the next 2-3 weeks.
Okay, Alexandria's the one then.
Yeah. Okay. Probably Miranda and Wetherill Park might be a bit of a
way too far.
Yeah.
Way too far. Look, thank you so much for coming in. I wish you the best of luck, and hopefully we'll get you back on. We're doing a new thing where we're going to start bringing people back on 18 months down the track to see how they go. So hopefully we'll see you again. Maybe you can bring your business partner that time as well. You can both sit here and tell us about this wonderful success story you've had.
Fantastic. Looking forward to it.
Thanks very much for watching the show, everyone. If you're interested in learning more about Strong Pilates, feel free to reach out.